Hi, I'm Catalina Maria Johnson, and on behalf of Gozamos and Beat Latino, I'm here with a true maestro. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be chatting with Sérgio Diaz, one of the founding members of Os Mutantes. And thank you for coming to Chicago again. It's great to see you.
It's my pleasure. I love the town. It's a beautiful place. And thank you guys, really.
So what an incredible history with this band. Now, did you know in the late 60s, when you were starting, that was going to be such a legacy, a legend, really?
I had no idea at all. The only thing I knew was like when I was 13, I dropped out of school. And I told my mom this, and I want to be, I'm a professional musician. She was a incredible concerto pianist and incredible composer. One of the first women in the world, if not the first, to write a concerto for piano and orchestra. And so I told her, how dare me? And she said, okay, so if you're a professional, you can quit school, but then you're going to have to support yourself. I said, okay. So I started to give classes.
At 13?
Yeah.
Guitar classes?
Yeah. Acoustic. I just had an acoustic. And so I started to make some money, here and there. Just like in 6 months, I was making a little bit close to the money that she used to give me, Then she bought me my first guitar.
Very good.
Yeah. Then at 16, I was on stage with Gil, Caetano, and all this.
Yeah, and amazing.
So I knew that my life would be like, music, period. I had no idea, but no idea of Mutantes or anything like that, or that it would be like such an intense thing, No idea. It's impossible to know.
It was interesting. I read an interview with Wax Poetics about the albums that you thought were influential. And some of them were not surprising, the Beatles, or Sly and the Family Stone.
Yeah.
Peter, Paul, and Mary was a little bit of surprise.
Well, that was a lot. We heard a lot of, Mutantes has a lot of vocals. So we were influenced by, I think one of the first were probably Peter, Paul, and Mary. Then like Mamas and Papas, Beatles, and all the vocal bands.
Wow.
So that was a great thing, Everly Brothers, all those guys that sang, it's like, wow.
Well, speaking of singing, I read about your mom in that interview because Bach was a record by Bach with vocals was another influence. And then I read also that your father was a poet, so you really grew up in a very artistic family.
It was a fantastic thing. My father was not only a poet, but one of the best tenors that I've ever heard.
Wow.
Great tenor. And he was fantastic because, I was just talking to Lourdes, my wife, that we used to like rehearse until just jam until 3, 4 a.m. And my father used to wake up at 5 or 6 and he never said anything. It was amazing. He was so supportive.
And when you started, were you thinking, we're going to mix, psychedelia and rock? No.
There was no such a thing as rock.
Oh, really?
There was basically twist. I was playing basically the Ventures, Dwayne Eddy and Les Paul. That's what I was learning, The rock and roll came later. I think basically the first time that I really got the bug was hearing Jailhouse Rock in my cousin's home, and I think I was 5 or 6, and I remember I was jumping down on the couch the entire afternoon, throwing a pillow as a guitar, It was fantastic. I remember this as if it was today.
Wow.
And that was the day that was I was inoculated.
Yeah. So now, then there was a period of silence, though. There was a period where the band did not play together as a band.
Yeah.
Everybody was doing their own individual projects at that point. But then you came back together. We're so glad.
Well, that was if somebody told me in 2005 that I was going to play again with Mutantes, I would laugh. you know, honestly.
Oh, really?
Because I wouldn't believe at all, because there's so many complications, you know. My brother now to his wife, and there's a bunch of situations. And but what happened was, they were going to make that what's the name, that tropicalism thing on the Barbican. What was the name of it?
Yeah, it was I don't remember, but it was that was the concert,
so,
right?
Yeah, and then somebody told the curator that it wouldn't make any sense to do that without Os Mutantes. And the guy said, well, what can I do? They don't exist anymore. This came out crooked to the press. And so we started to receive like letters from, because I've been like 2005, I played in England, in London. And I started to receive like letters from emails from Mojo Magazine and all those guys saying, wow, you're going to play here again? Fantastic. I said, oh, really? Where? Amazing. And suddenly everybody this thing started to pop all over the world, you know, and in Brazil, São Paulo, they were saying that we were already rehearsing. And so we started calling each other. And when Dinho, the drummer, said to me, well, if you want, I'll play. Because he did stop for 30 years. He didn't touch the drums.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So when he said that, it was like, oops, this is serious. You know, of course we had like several people trying to put our band together. You know, just with money on all this.
Yeah. But
You know, ugly. So when Dean said that, I said, okay, so let's get together and see
what happens.
Yeah, we got together in my studio. We played, was lousy, of course, but at least the vibe was there. And I said, okay, we can do it. Liminha didn't believe in it. I mean, the bass player. So he said, no, we can only do like 3 songs, not more than that. I said, no way, let's play. And let's do a new album. They just couldn't believe me. And so we rehearsed it for 3 months. 1 month before the Barbican, Yale Evelev from the Luaca Pop, he came to my place in Brazil, and he said, well, if you guys want, I can get you 2 gigs, one in New York, another one in LA. I said, wow, amazing. Where?
There you go.
He said, well, you can choose the Central Park or the Webster Hall, and in the LA opening for the Flaming Lips and at the Hollywood Bowl. I said, oh God, what is this? So like in a month, we were like with all the first tour in America booked, and playing at the Fillmore, where I went like when I was 17. It was great. So we played all over the place, and it was like unbelievable, you know. And I remember Zélia, because she was in the vocals at the time, and we arrived here in Chicago. We were at Pitchfork.
Right,
The entire crowd was like saying like "Mutantes, Mutantes," and Zélia looked at me like startled and said, "The voice of the people is the voice of God." Wow. And it was amazing, man. It was great. It's been the thing is, after meeting all these kids, because I never could imagine that we would be like had this kind of following. I would thought it would be like a few guys my age or whatever, but they're kids. And when you see, like, I remember 2 kids came in the backstage in Chicago, and they went there for me to sign a vinyl, and they were like trembling. I couldn't believe, and that was like, it was so humbling. There's no better way to put that, but it is the most humbling experience that you can have, and the most grateful one, because you can see that your music outlasted you, and when you're alive,
right,
which is fantastic. So,
well, and yet that's another question, and that I really wanted to ask. I hear Panis et Circenses today, and it seems perfectly fresh. It's unbelievable to me that was composed decades ago.
Yeah.
What do you think that you captured that somehow is timeless in a way?
Yeah, I think it is I think it has to do with art. I mean, it is like, if you think like of Van Gogh or those guys, you know, try to make it now. You know, try to do it what he did. And especially like breaking grounds as he did. For example, if you listen like Tomorrow Never Knows from Revolver, today, if I would try to use anything that I could imagine to try to make that something sound like that, I want to be able to find out how the hell they did that thing. Because it is like, what is that? And it's fantastic because still now it is a mystery for me, and I adore this fact. So we're being basically being honest with what we felt always. Then we have a brand new album ready now. The other one that we put out, the Rai, came out in Portuguese. This one came out entirely in English. And there's everybody that listens to this has a total different opinion on it. You know, one say that it is like, oh, the lyrics are too this or to that, too strong, or I should change this, and everybody's saying that I have to change something. I think it's good. So, you know, because when you have this kind of feedback, I think you're touching somewhere, you're like bothering somebody. So I think it's going to be fine, and we're going to put out the album, and it's going to be fantastic.
Well, we're so glad to have you here, and on your birthday, happy birthday!
Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you, guys. It's been a beautiful birthday since yesterday. You know, I turned like midnight on stage. You know, it was great, and I'm gonna keep on here. I'm gonna keep on celebrating for a week.
Thank you so much for your time,
Thank you.
Sérgio.
You're great.